just this much. Okay, so you see the big screen, and this is the actual worry. But we think about this particular actual issue somewhere on Tuesday afternoon between 3:30 to 4:30 p.m., and we are not even stressed about the actual issue. We generally try and revolve our issues, through the normal surrounding factors, okay, which actually don't even bother you in your life. When I try and tell you all these things, you may be thinking I'm a very happy person in life, and you may not necessarily be wrong in thinking that way. Here comes a time when I talk about knowing your speaker, which is me in this particular case. Now, I'm not going to tell you that I am very highly educated. If you want to find that information, you can most definitely find me on LinkedIn and go and visit my LinkedIn profile. However, I strongly believe that certificates are not more important than skills in life. Skills are more important to live life. And as we spoke about 1/3 of our lifetime that we spend in workplace, which means that what I do in the remaining 2/3 of my lifetime makes me who I am and helps me perform better even at work. In my normal life, I generally wake up at 5 a.m. in the morning and I hit the gym. At this particular point in time, obviously because of the COVID outbreak, I cannot go to the gym early in the morning, but I have made a small gym at my home, right in my balcony, and I get up every morning. I don't, deviate from my workout schedule at all. Beyond that, I am a rock climber. I tend to take, adventure trips every year for rock climbing. I'm also a scuba diver. I follow my scuba diving routine very, very religiously. And I have traveled to many places, different countries to manage my scuba diving routine as well. Beyond that, I am a 10-pin bowler. I play professionally for leagues in Dubai. Beyond that, I have been a salsa trainer in the past. There are times when I still practice salsa for some time. And this is the 2/3 of my life, which enables me to go to office in a right mind frame, win awards for the organization, implement processes for the organization, and take care of the employees in the organization. So yes, I can boldly state that I'm a happy man, and being happy actually enables me to enjoy what I actually do in my office situation. And since we are talking about happiness, since we are talking about amalgamating happiness within your office scenario, let us talk about efficiency versus enjoyment. Now, corporates tend excessively to focus on the bottom line, and in that way, they just focus in on the efficiency factor. And let me tell all you listeners that I love efficiency. I mean, I'm not, when I say efficiency versus enjoyment, I'm not against efficiency at all. I'm actually obsessed with it. I was even born 3 days early, so my birth date is 2nd of May. I was supposed to be born on 5th of May, actually, as per the doctors. And since I was born 3 days in advance, it shows how efficient I am in my life. But the problem is that just because something is efficient, it doesn't really mean that it is effective. And just because something saves time, it doesn't necessarily mean that it will actually get results for you. Now, you may think, why should I believe this man who seems very relaxed working from home at this particular stage? It is because I have been there in that kind of situation. We at Choithrams believe at enjoying our working time very, very religiously. And, you talk about game zones, tournaments, everything actually goes on in our organization. And we say it's okay. It's absolutely okay to have fun in office situation. It's okay if we have made a mistake. It's important to get it corrected and then create preventive measures so that it does not necessarily occur again. My team is motivated to follow their passion. Across GCC, I have around 32 team members working in the HR team, and they are very, very passionate, very, very motivated team members. I'm sorry, something just happened on screen. Has somebody shared something? All right, thanks, Jennifer. Right. So coming back, I was talking about how passionate my team members are. There are food bloggers in my team. There are creative artists in my team. There are stand-up comedians in my team. There are people who play cricket. There are people who play foosball in my team. And I think what I prefer in my organization is that people follow their passion, and that keeps them motivated to actually go back home in time. I don't prefer my team doing overtime at all. Generally at 6 o'clock, I'm the person who gets up and tries and ensure that everybody gets out from my office and then go back home and enjoy their personal life, their personal space as well. Point is that the roadblocks that we have in our work routine, okay, they are a given. They are always going to be there, the way I look at it. but enjoying what you do helps you eradicate these blocks. And hence it is important that you loosen up, whether you're in class or whether you're in office, and just experiment with life. Now we are talking about an experiment. Since all of you are here, I don't know if you're on speaker view or you're on the gallery view. Let me just help you with that. On your right hand side, okay, of the screen, okay, on the top, you see either a speaker view or gallery view. If you're on speaker view, you're only looking at me. But if you are on speaker view right now, I want you to switch and come on the gallery view where you're able to see everybody. And if I may request all of you to come online on screen at this moment. Let us do a little social experiment and see if you guys actually get relaxed. If you guys can put your camera on. To put your camera on the right hand side bottom, you'll see a link over there. Please don't get me wrong. I safely assume that everybody knows how to use Zoom. Lovely. Oh, wow. I can see Rashid Sajwani driving and listening to this call at the same time. That's very risky, my friend. Okay, Rashid, I will request you to skip this experiment because obviously you at least need one hand on the steering at this particular stage. So I require people to use both their hands, and you wouldn't be in a position to do that right now. Okay, lovely. So I can people are joining again. Great. So if I may request everybody to, as you can see both my hands, just take your hands and make a small bowl like this. Okay, and I would like to see everybody do that. Yeah, everybody, come on. Sajia, come on. I know you're smiling. You have a beautiful smile, but please do this. Right? Okay. So both your hands, right? Now, I want you all to smell the cake and blow the candles, right? So it goes like this. When I ask you to smell the cake, you do, and then blow the candles, right? Can we try that on the count of 3? I'll guide you guys, right? All right, folks. 1, 2, 3. Smell the cake. Blow the candles. Smell the cake. Blow the candles. One more time. Smell the cake. Blow the candles. Did you guys realize what just happened at this particular stage when you were trying to do this little experiment over here? You were actually breathing at this particular stage. And it is so important to breathe whenever anxiety hits you, whenever you actually feel stressed in life. And that actually brings me to my chapter number 2, which I call as laugh. How many of you actually feel that laughing or smiling releases anxiety? Can I see a raise of hands? Right? Everybody very strongly believes that laughing or smiling releases anxiety, which is an amazing thing. And let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, anxiety, stress are at this particular point in time, especially in this outbreak, these are the major healthcare expenses in the current era in today's time. And the current COVID outbreak actually justifies this particular point even more. Me being the HR head helps me be more effective and efficient at managing my job, obviously. But the humor in me actually helps me in managing my people better in my organization. If I'm mentally tired, I just take a break, just laugh. Just like those laughing club members in the park, I will just take a break. If I'm mentally stressed, I'll raise my hand, I'll start laughing for 30 seconds, and that's what I do. And my experiences have taught me that this is so important, because whenever you're stressed, the biggest problem is that you keep stretching yourself and you keep continuing with the job, trying to push yourself to complete it. But it is very important to understand, ladies and gentlemen, that you need to unplug yourself when you get stressed. And unplugging yourself for a certain amount of time actually helps you rejuvenate, come back, and get back to your work that you're planning to do. So pushing yourself can never be a good solution, the way I look at it. And the best part about laughing or smiling is that whether it is fake or real, it actually gives you the same effect. So even if you don't like my presentation, you can still smile and be benefited out of it. All right, moving on. How does humor really help relationships? Let me tell you that there's a 4-step perspective. I sincerely believe that humor will help you solve problems and warm you up. When I talk about an organizational perspective, it actually reduces attrition in organization if humor is practiced on a routine basis. You as an individual person are seen more approachable, And all right, somebody else is sharing a Gmail screen with me. I would be interested in reading this email unless you take it off. Right, so this is Mr. Mahesh. Mr. Mahesh, I request if you could just stop sharing your screen. That all right, 1 second. Okay, great. Thank you so much. Thanks a lot. Right. So I'll just quickly do a quick review of the 4 steps one more time. So I was talking about humor, how it solves problems and warms you up. In an organizational context, how humor would actually reduce attrition within your organization, how you are seen as a more approachable person in the organization and in life, more importantly. And if you actually laugh for 10 minutes or 15 minutes, let's say, it is equivalent to dancing for, let's say, 10-15 minutes. It is equivalent to doing a Zumba class for 10 to 15 minutes. And strangely, there is a research which tells me that it is equivalent to actually milking a cow, right? So, best part is fake versus real laughter. It gives you the same effect. So, just if you're tensed, just take a break, try and relax yourself, try and rejuvenate yourself. And I think life will be absolutely normal for you all. What is also important to understand how humor actually benefits people, especially at work. People are more productive and less stressed if they follow a humorous pattern, if they actually have a fun-loving environment within the office. It actually lowers your blood pressure as well, which will actually reduce the loss ratio of your medical insurance in the organization, if I may say so. Executive using humors are paid more and promoted faster. I have personally experienced this particular thing as well. And you need to make friends at work. There's a research, ladies and gentlemen, that states that people who have at least 3 close friends or 3 close relationships at work are 96% more likely to be satisfied with their life. And I'm not just talking about the job, with their life. And how do you win close friends? By giving them money? Not really. You are going to build relationships. And when people say that money cannot buy happiness, they are absolutely right in quoting that, because relationship does buy happiness, money doesn't. And if I go back 6 years back, that's the time when I started speaking, whether it was any presentation that I was doing for college or any HR forum that I was attending. And let me tell you, my first session that I conducted, it was in school, and I was addressing students from grade 9, by the way. No one had a question in the end, and I was so proud of myself. Then I met one student from the session outside the conference hall, and asked that little one what was her takeaway from today's session. And very sweetly she said that I didn't understand a single word you said, and you speak so fast. And then she ran away. And that's an amazing learning for me, because sometimes when you're trying to crack jokes, you're trying to say something during a forum, during a session, and if it fails, it's a major pressure. And similarly, plans also fail in organization, but the show has to go on, right? And that's where I would like to make a connect between the leaders today versus the stand-up comedians. And I'm sure all the people who are listening to me at this particular stage, on a weekly basis, if not on a routine or a daily basis, at least on a weekly basis, you go to YouTube and you try and see at least one stand-up comedy session just to relax yourself, right? Why do we do it? And the fact is that there are leadership lessons that come from stand-up comedians. Let me throw some light on that. There are sizable amount of similarities between stand-up comics and business leaders, if I may say so. And few of them, let me just try and list, for you guys at this moment. Both leaders and stand-up comedians, in my opinion, have the courage and confidence to speak openly and publicly. They open up themselves to criticism like nobody else can. Leaders also do the same, and stand-up comedians also do the same. Both have artful skill of delivering the message to the audience, and both these category of people know exactly how to handle pressure. They have the ability to communicate authentically while connecting with others. And the biggest aspect of both leaders and stand-up comedians is that all of them tell very, very compelling stories. Which brings me to my last chapter, which I call as Lead. And in this particular chapter, let me first talk about the current market environment. Okay. We have seen multiple, situations, different situations, which we also in other terms call as recession. With the whole COVID outbreak at this particular stage, we safely assume that we are entering into a new one. This environment that actually surrounds us, ladies and gentlemen, is called as VUCA. And the full form of VUCA is volatile, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. Uh, we are in a situation which is very, very volatile, where the environment demands you to react quickly to the ongoing changes that are unpredictable and absolutely out of your control. We are talking about uncertainty, where the environment requires you to take action without any kind of certain aspects in your organization or in your life. We are talking about complexity, where the environment is very, very dynamic, and there are many interdependencies amongst processes, people, external environment, and your organization as well. And then the final one being ambiguity, where the environment is absolutely unfamiliar to you, outside of your expertise, and you don't really know what to do. In the past, we have seen, if I talk about UAE, we all know about Al Madina, a pretty huge company. Eventually, one fine day, employees don't know exactly what their future is going to be like. Okay, things are absolutely uncertain for them. Worldwide, when I look at different organizations, we are talking about Thomas Cook, which apparently shut down. It's used to be one of the biggest travel agencies in the world. In India, there was a big coffee chain called as Cafe Coffee Day. I have enjoyed many coffees over there as a student, as a young teenager, and apparently, one fine day, the owner committed suicide. So there's a lot of turbulent environment across us at this particular stage that we are dealing in. Why is it very important to understand, when we talk about leadership, is because as we move on today with all the possible pandemics, outbreaks, recession, and the VUCA environment that we have to deal with, I think the time has come where we start merging systems with goals. And when I talk about merging systems with goals, let me give you a small example from, again, my college days. Now, generally, when boys go to college, they have two objectives. Obviously, they want to finish the certification. At the same point in time, most of the boys have a girlfriend as well, right? And when I went to college, obviously that was one of my objectives, if I may say so. And I'm a very goal oriented person. So when I liked a girl, I somehow thought that it is very easy for me not to speak to the girl that I like directly, but to speak to her friend and try and gain more information about the girl that I like, right? And most of us, all the gentlemen who are on the screen at this particular moment, have gone through the similar process, because we all are goal oriented when we are in college. And apparently, what happened was that I started talking to this girl's friend, try and gain more information. After a month or so, I request this new friend of mine to introduce me to that particular girl, right? And I get introduced. I spend a lot of time in trying to understand, what's her favorite movie, what's her favorite fruit, which restaurant does she like to go to, and which malls does she like to go to, etc. All these things, and I invest 6 months in all those things. 6 months down the line, time comes, and I pop up the question, and thanks, Sham. And I pop up the question, and I ask the girl, "Do you like me?" Now, there are three possible outcomes, ladies and gentlemen. Outcome number one, the girl says that I have a boyfriend. Outcome number two, she says, "Kunal, I don't like you." And the third outcome, which is the most obvious outcome, actually happened with me. The girl actually told me that I have a boyfriend and I don't like you. Right? Now, uh, giving you another example from my class. Okay, there's this friend of mine who's a very system-based person, right? He did not invest the amount of time that I invested in trying to find a girlfriend in college. What he would do, he would enter a room which is full of women sitting in there, and he will go and ask each and every girl, "Would you like to be my girlfriend? Would you like to be my girlfriend? Would you like to be my girlfriend? Would you like to be my girlfriend?" Imagine the amount of rejection that guy actually goes through in 5 to 10 minutes, and he gets that learning instantly. And here I am, a goal oriented person, who sits 6 months down the line, okay, in a shock that I invested so much of time, okay, and nothing worked out for me. When my friend was trying to do this in 10 minutes, there is a high possibility that one girl may actually say that, "All right, let me just give it a shot. I don't even know, who this guy is," right? He may actually get a quick win over here. but the biggest learning is that he understood to manage rejection in day one, and I was not even ready to manage rejection after 6 months. Here comes an important factor. How in current era, in the new leadership wave, we try and take the goal oriented approach and take the system oriented approach and try and merge it. So let's take an example. Okay, if you all want to lose 10 pounds, okay, the first thing that you would want to do is straight away hit the gym. Okay, try and start jogging. Some people may get into yoga, some people may do their normal stretches, but everybody would start exercising. That's the first thing that comes to your mind. However, the biggest important element if you want to lose 10 pounds within, let's say, next 3 months is the diet plan. That is 20% of your input. However, it gives you 80% results. Let me tell you, without going to the gym, you can actually reduce your weight by 10 pounds in 3 months very, very easily, right? Now, this is one example from personal life that I can give you when we talk about merging systems with goals. In that particular case, a goal-oriented approach would be to go to the gym. However, system-oriented approach is following a diet plan. If you actually merge goals and systems together, things would be much more effective and you'll get better results. Now, if I may request all of you to just unmute yourself and answer one question for me. If you have to increase... participants, let me just ask you this question and maybe we'll go one by one and take at least 5-6 answers. The question is, if you have to increase profits by 10%, okay, what are you going to do? Anybody who's on screen can raise their hand and maybe I will request the host to unmute them. All right, Aryan, can we unmute Aryan? Yes, Aryan.
I think by sales or
all right.
some
by
like
sales.
What do you say? Sales promotion.
Great, perfect, Aryan. Great. David Goss.
Cutting costs. Looking around the business, see how we can cut costs.
Lovely. Cutting cost, and Aryan spoke about increasing sales. We have Ryan. Yes, Ryan. All right, hold on. Yes, Ryan, now you can speak.
Through team building or some activities that will unite the team to be productive.
Perfect. So we have sales, we have cost cutting, and we have team building activities. All right. Thank you, Ryan. Unikrishnan.
Yeah, the best thing is you can pipeline your prospects in a better way. Do some innovative marketing and grab maximum people to yourself. See what is happening right now in the online media. Yeah. So after the pandemic period, everyone moved to the online. They are started doing webinars and everything. This is how you can grab sales.
Correct.
If you want to increase sales, change your strategy, change your perspective, move into the innovative way. That's
great.
What
Thank you, Unikrishnan. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have some perspectives which talk about increasing sales. We have some perspectives which talk about cutting cost. We have team building, and we have communication or a new strategy to be developed. How many of you even think about customers in this particular phase at this particular time? And that's one of the most important elements. I totally understand from all the 4 people who just spoke and gave their initiatives that your thoughts actually revolve around the customers, which I totally understand and I feel it as well. However, when we start talking about customers, our first point that comes to our mind is that we should want to try and make our customers happy, because making customers happy is a system-based approach. Data, spreadsheets, strategizing, analytics, cutting costs through a new strategy, these are all a goal-oriented approach. And when we talk about our customers first, you're not just talking about data, you're not talking about analytics, you're not talking about spreadsheets. You're actually talking about touching lives, and that's how merging systems with goals is going to be the new way of leadership. Now, when we talk about this particular perspective and the new wave of leadership, let us try and identify the leader in you. Let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, if I give you a choice to identify your own leader, if you had that liberty in life, you would obviously not want to have a person who's snobbish, who's neurosicist, who gets angry very easily. Okay, these are qualities of, let's say, a leader. If I have to put a name to this particular leader, it would be Adolf Hitler. Nobody wants to have a leader who, you know, acts and behaves like Adolf Hitler. However, you would most definitely want a person who is decisive, is fun-loving, you know, can take quick decisions, and is very, very courageous. And do you all know the personality traits that I'm talking about are exactly the personality traits of a 10-year-old child? The point is this: you are absolutely fine to leave a personality like Adolf Hitler on side and accept a leadership trait of a 10-year-old kid. I'm not saying this, that these are the personality traits of a 10-year-old kid. I was trying to do some research some time back, and Google actually told me that the personality trait that I've just listed down, it belongs to a 10-year-old kid. And what I gather from this experience is that leadership is not about you know, the car that your office has to offer, or the perks, or even a big size cabin that your office has to offer. It's about how brilliantly you work. It's about actually making an impact, even if you're in which you lead yourself. You will only become a leader if people either walk with you or follow you. It's the other's perception that actually makes you the leader. You cannot necessarily sit down and define that you are a leader when everybody else is not ready to follow you, right? And this is precisely how we lead at Choithrams. We believe in customer centricity, where we put customers at the heart of everything that we try and do. We believe in leadership methodologies where we lead by example in all, you know, that we do within our industry. We focus on integrity, maintaining integrity levels within our organization, right? We believe in meritocracy, where we reward results and we recognize efforts are of our employees. And you know, we also believe in being very, very boundaryless, where we eliminate barriers by sharing ideas very openly. We identify the best course for the organization. And when we club all these elements that I'm talking about, it actually makes the corporate values of our organization, which I proudly call as CLIMB. C stands for customer centricity, L stands for leadership, I stands for integrity, M stands for meritocracy, and B stands for being boundaryless. So we call it CLIMB. And finally, you know, before I conclude my session, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to tell you that there are primarily 3 objectives for all professionals across industry. It doesn't matter whether you are an HR professional, it doesn't matter whether you're in marketing, it doesn't matter whether you're in, you know, managing your own business. What matters is that if we all start following 3 primary objectives, I think whether we have our own business or whether we are working for an organization, there is no way you cannot be successful. And these 3 objectives are: first, the financial impact. Um, in any role that you are, even in HR domain today, I am responsible for managing the sales of my organization. I cannot necessarily say that me or my team members are not responsible for sales. Anything that we do in the organization is necessary that it affects the productivity, and the productivity that actually gets affected will improvise on the profitability level of the organization. The second objective is the quality through leadership. I sincerely believe that as leaders in the organization, it is very important to take care of your team members, and only then your team members are going to go ahead and take care of the business perspectives. The final objective, as I would like to put it across, I call it branding. It is a myth across the world that it is responsibility of marketing teams to brand their organizations. No. If you guys are listening to me at this particular stage, if Capital Education has honored me to be online over here speaking with you guys, I think branding my organization is a responsibility that I equally share with all the departments in my organization. It is not just me, it is all my team members. It is the junior most stocker, junior most cashier, the butcher who cuts the meat for you. All of them are responsible to brand my organization to you, so that my brand is seen nicely as far as you guys are concerned, and you consider my organization as an employer of choice as we move on in life. So this concludes my session for today, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for being patient and listening to me and conducting that little cake experiment with me. My recommendation is that please keep doing it whenever you feel stressed, and I'm sure within the next 5 to 10 minutes you'll feel relaxed, and remember me as well in a very, very nice way. I'm open to take any questions from your end right now. Please feel free to shoot.
Thank you a lot for your discussion.
Hello.
Hello, who's this?
Hi, this is Michelle.
Hi, Michelle.
Yes, I would just like to ask some few questions.
Please.
It's an honor to actually be in this webinars with you as the head of HR of Choithrams. As an aspiring HR professional, I would just to ask some advice from you.
Okay.
Like, how do you lead your people, like your
Okay.
HR team?
Okay.
How do you apply your leadership styles to them? Like, for example, you have a diverse team members, and how do you apply those leadership styles to each of them?
Well, I think there is a bookish answer to it,
Yes.
and there's a personal answer to it, right? I think you need to own the business first. I mean, it's not about HR versus operation in today's time. I think from a personal experience, I think I own business in a way that I enter my organization every day anticipating that this is my own company. I don't I use my 9 hours very, very effectively. When I sometime back, Michelle, if you remember, I was speaking about I don't like overtimes. I tend to talk to my team members in case I see them stretching. I want them to go leave the organization. But that definitely means that the 9 hours that my team gives for the organization, those belong to me, those belong to the organization. And what happens in those
Yes.
9 hours should lead to qualitative and quantitative processes, new strategic ideas coming into picture. And when we talk about HR creating strategy, sometimes it's a very, very transactional thing. I think HR needs to act as a transformational zone, transformational force, as I would like to put it across, and try and evaluate the strategy that they are trying to incorporate, the processes that they are trying to incorporate. Does it actually even benefit the organization in any way or not? Primary aspect being,
Yes.
I'll give you two primary KPIs if you want to evaluate your organization and see how HR actually functions. Try and see if the engagement score, if your engagement score is low, whatever you're trying to do in HR actually does not necessarily make sense for the organization and the people working for it. If the engagement score is high, you only as an HR team cannot take the full credit for it. I think then the credit is shared over there. Second aspect that you can monitor is the attrition within the organization. The biggest challenge is that we don't actually even look at attrition data on a weekly basis, on a fortnightly basis. Attrition data, unfortunately, maybe operations would see it once in 6 months. And because operations seeks that kind of data once in 6 months, HR becomes very casual, lazy, if I may say so, and tries and looks at these kind of analytics only once in 3 months. However, on a 15-day basis, I would recommend HR folks to actually look at their attrition data. If you don't know how to calculate attrition, if you have problems with that, Sanjay, if I may request, you can share my email ID with them, and I'll be more than happy to share the formulas and how to see this particular, how to read this particular analytic. It is very important for you to also try and speak to your employees when they are exiting the organization and try and take realistic feedback, Michelle. These are certain elements which will actually tell you in your face that this is what your organization is all about. And only when you know these elements will you be in a position to define any kind of process or any kind of strategy. Let me tell you one thing. I belong to multiple HR groups on WhatsApp, and sometimes I see a message which clearly requests for sharing the grading template of your organization because my boss has asked me to work on grading. Now, if you don't know how to work on grading, please go back and tell your boss, I need help. I cannot work on grading. But don't ask other HR companies. There's Mercedes showroom, Mercedes office next to my head office in Dera. If Mercedes implements an HR policy, I cannot directly replicate it for my organization. We are two different zones, two different industries. We sell two different things. Their employees versus my employees, there's a salary difference as well. So what may work for Mercedes may not necessarily work for me. If I want to implement something similar that the world is doing, I need to first understand my organization in detail and then try and apply mechanisms. So it is very, very important for HR people to actually be on floor, understand what organization is doing. If I'm into retail business, if I'm into distribution business, I think me and my team members have spent a lot of time on the floor trying to understand what each talker actually does on a daily basis. We understand what is FIFO. You will be surprised to know sometime back, and if I'm not wrong, there's one of my team members who's on this call as well. She may nod if she sees me. We had conducted an HR policy test for all the HR team members, right? And I'm not ashamed to tell you this, that the first test, I had kept around 80%, if I'm not wrong. 80% was the passing mark. There are approximately 30% team members in my team itself who did not qualify, right? And then I gave them time, okay, and we did a retest, and then everybody qualified. Everybody got 80% plus. So the point is this: you need to start, taking measures to actually realize that you need to see the mirror first, right? It's very easy to point fingers at others, but when you're pointing one finger at somebody else, 4 fingers are pointing at you at that particular stage. So that's. I hope I have answered your question. Anybody else has a question at this stage? I think we have some more time.
Yes, I do.
How are you? Sorry, Julia here.
Hi, Julia.
Actually, I'm late, so hi to everyone. And I'm not sure whether this has been tackled earlier. However, my question will be like, given the current scenario that most of us are now working remotely, or like most of us are working from home now, how do you keep your employees engaged?
Oh, that's an interesting question. So at this particular stage, although I have a capital education background, but I'm sitting at home right now. What I generally do is I keep in touch with my team members. You're asking this question at a very right time, because just day before yesterday, we concluded a GCC-wide webinar for my team, which my team members all of them were there on that webinar. I was happy to have my CEO as well on that particular call. So it was our first virtual webinar where we were speaking to them. We were trying to set certain new expectations, because being very frank, being an essential service, a retail company which is selling food to people, even now at this particular stage, I had never anticipated that we could ever work from home. Sizable amount of organizational myths are being debugged at this particular stage, and I find it very convenient working from home. Although I'm required to go to work, very frankly, on a moral front, because my team members are working on the shop floor. I generally tend to take 1 or 2 days work from home in a week, and the remaining days I spend in office. I keep in touch with my team members through virtual chats, virtual webinars. I tend to spend time with at least all my direct reports on a daily basis on virtual calls, and I safely assume that they follow the same trend. People in operations are working on the floor. Our HODs in retail, they are not sitting at home at this particular stage. They are all on the floor, trying to meet their managers, trying to meet the store level people on a routine basis as well. I think when we specifically talk about engagement from remote, from work perspective, the primary objective, I would say, it is not just talking to them on a daily basis. I think it makes more sense if organization who are allowing their employees to work from home start setting clear-cut objectives for their team members. Because when you're working from home, you generally don't have the kind of distractions you'll have in office, right? And when you're working at home, you would tend to finish your task early. Approximately, 40% time is saved when you're working from home. So what do you do in the balance time when general chores are over? I would say it is important that people set clear-cut objectives for those employees who are working from home. Number two, I think we should work very, very collaboratively and in a fun way. What I'm trying to say by mentioning that is that it becomes sometimes very difficult to unplug from work when you're working from home. If you're in an office situation, you tend to leave at 6 p.m. in the evening. But when you're working from home, you actually stretch your work till 9 p.m. You actually stretch your work till 12 a.m. in the morning. And it's in the name of work. You could have actually finished those tasks earlier, but you lack clarity because your objectives are not very clearly defined. So I think if you work in collaboration with your team members, what I tell my managers is, this is a time, I have employee relations, I have L&D, I have shared services, and I have recruitment. What I'm trying to do with my managers is I have given them combined activities at this particular stage. So, when the day gets over, and if I'm trying to push my team member to, let's say, give me some data by 7:30 p.m. in this evening, my team member is actually going to tell me, I have to cook food right now, so I need to rush. Can we do this tomorrow? And I actually say, oh yeah, well, it's 6 p.m. in the evening. Let's try this tomorrow morning then. And then we set a time for the next day, rather than me trying to do it alone and me stretching it to a certain extent where my family gets disrupted. So I hope I have answered that. Right. Any other question at this stage?
Yes, I think I do.
Yes. Hi. How do you pronounce your name, by the way?
Chinenyeze.
Wow. And do you have a short name?
Okay. It's actually very long. I don't know how to shorten it for you.
All right. For the sake of audience and for this call, if you allow me to call you Shine.
Chine. You can call me Chine.
Lovely, Shine. Go ahead.
All right. Okay. Have you ever had a recruitment error? Have you ever had a recruitment error at any time? Probably getting the wrong person for a position. And if you have ever, how did you fix it? Did you fix it by probably getting the person into a new position, or changing what the role is for to fit the person's abilities? Yeah.
So Shine, let me tell you this. If any HR persons that you ask this question, if they say, no, we never had a recruitment error, there are only two possibilities. They are either God or they are fraud. And I am neither. So yes, we have done recruitment errors in the past. What I have done, I'll give you, I cannot obviously take names, or I cannot, roll out the profile over here, because that wouldn't be the right thing to do. But I can definitely tell you it was at a managerial level. And when we found out in, let's say, 1.5 months that maybe we have not necessarily gone right in selecting this particular portfolio, we tried to sit down with the person. We tried to give them more clarity about what our expectations are in detail. So let's say on paper, when you get your responsibilities, there would be 10 bullet points written over it. I think what we did was we tried to break those points into further details and try to drill it down. You can call it spoon feeding if you want to, but obviously just because you have made a wrong decision, that sometimes is basis your expectations or the timelines that you want to set. Sometimes people require extra coaching, extra guidance, depending upon where they come from. And I think we tried doing that. We spent some time with that particular person. I'm talking about easily around 7 to 8 months from the date of joining. And 7 to 8 months down the line, we realized that we have gone wrong. And we just cannot continue, to take this ahead just because we want to hide our mistakes. So I think we respectfully allowed the person to move on. We also tried to provide the person outplacement opportunities at that particular point in time. So that's what we did. I hope I've answered your question, Shine. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Thank you. Thank you. Right, folks. So I think we'll take one last question if there's any, and then we can end the call. I don't think we have more questions coming in.
No, that's great. Thank you very much, Kunal, for this. There is one request the chat regarding the exercise. I think wonderful.
We leave. Let's just try and do that for all the newbies who have joined in.
Yes.
So this exercise is about trying to take a break in case you feel stressed, and relax yourself for few seconds. Unplug yourself from the routine that you're trying to follow, and then once you feel relaxed, get back to the activity that you are managing from a work front. So you have to just take two hands like this, okay, like a bowl. You have to close your eyes, try and make yourself believe that your left hand has a cake and your right hand has a candle, and it's all about smelling the cake and blowing the candles. So I think this would be the most apt thing to do on this particular call before we conclude this call for the day. Ladies and gentlemen, if you can put your both hands together, smell the cake and blow the candles. That actually relaxes me a bit, because I've spent around 45 minutes speaking right now, and I'm sure as soon as I end the call, I'll be doing this activity myself. So thank you so much, Sanjay. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for being with me on this particular call for around 45 minutes. And I truly enjoyed speaking with all of you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Kunal. Thank you very much for raising a lot of these very, very interesting things. I was very happy to hear about the employees owning the business. I think that was a very fantastic comment that you made, and I'm glad that my senior members, Vartika, Benny, and Sabah, are all in this chat right now. Hopefully, they're all listening closely and intently as I am. I can see from the chats on the right side that people are interacting quite a bit, and I'm very grateful that everybody has been very participative. This is a little something that we have done with Kunal, because Kunal we had a chance to invite him to our campus a year and a half ago, I think 2 years ago. And even that time, he spoke about something on a higher level of HR, which I think was quite a bouncer for most of the people. But somehow he had the talent of getting everybody engaged in the conversation. I think that was really interesting. I said, this is the right individual for this particular moment in time, where all of us are going through the same thing, to have a lighthearted, discussion, a bit of learning, a bit of fun. So thank you, Kunal, once again. Ladies and gentlemen, on the right side, there will be a link that you'll have to click on should you request a certificate, and then one of my team members will process it and send it across to you. Yeah, Kunal, the recording of the video is also being requested on the chats, so we need to coordinate a little on that. Yeah, thank you so much.
No problem at all. Thanks. Take care, guys. Have a nice evening.
God bless.
Please stay safe. Take care. Bye bye.